Well, hello everybody and welcome to Kilohearts. My name's George and we're here for another live stream with the three owners of Kilohearts, all here at the same time. From my right to my further right, we've got Per Salbach, Anders Stenberg and Per Larsson. Hello everybody.
Hello.
Hello.
Are you all well?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Absolutely. The weather is really nice here in Sweden this last week, and
It's
we're feeling
muggy,
really good.
I would say.
Okay.
It's warm and damp and
yeah.
sort of humid. Kvavt.
All
right.
Yeah, it's very close. It's good weather for getting outdoors and getting some inspiration from nature, which is what I did last week, actually. I was camping while you were all off at Super Booth and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Or some of you were. We're going to talk about trade shows today and much else. And if you want to leave a comment and ask us a question, please do. I see that we've already got someone called Claes Espenkrona in the chat saying, "Hero." Yeah, he's been here once or twice, hasn't he? Five Steps is here.
Stuff in there.
Yeah. Magnus Chewin is here. Pony Punch says, "Hey, hey."
Hey.
That's Swedish for hello, hello. And Sanjo says, "Oh, hey, the tab I had open started speaking." It's working. This is great. Hello, Kilo Crew, says Black Marvin. Hi, Chris Lentro. Bootney Lee Farnsworth says, "Yo, yo."
That's very specific.
What's the name?
It's absolutely working. We've got 15 watching right now, so click the like button and we'll have 15 likes. And then I'll be happy because it's my job to look after the metrics.
Yeah.
I'll click it right now.
Good work.
One of the watching is me, but
Excellent. No, that's great news. So,
I'll chat something as well.
howdy all of you. And as the sun goes in behind a rare cloud and blows my lighting scheme out of all recognition, we'll begin talking about our favourite trade shows. Now, I set this up as a battle royale between NAMM and Superbooth. Those are just the ones we've been to recently. We actually love pretty much all the trade shows, don't we? And if we can get to more of them, we will. We like going out and about and seeing the world.
Right.
Any comments preliminarily? Anybody?
Well, like you said, it's a really fun experience to go out and meet some of our customers and like business partners and just being part of the community of manufacturers in the audio industry. And it's always really rewarding and always very tiresome while you're like standing on your feet for full days on end. But yeah, we really enjoy going, and even though it's very difficult to say if it's like worth it for a company to spend a lot of money on travel and booths and stuff, but we don't really care too much about that, so we just like going and hanging out with people.
Yeah. So maybe a little comparative thing. This year, Per Larsson, you were at NAMM with me.
Yes.
And a few others, and both of you were at Superbooth, is that right? Anders and Per
Yep.
were at Superbooth in Berlin. So let's start with NAMM because that was all the way back in April. Do we remember it at all? What were our impressions? What did we like about it?
I remember being sick. Like I got a cold on the way there, and I was out for the first day.
Oh.
And then I started to feeling better, and I could actually attend.
Yeah, that's a classic feature of NAMM particularly, is people from all over the world bring their germs. You did the smart thing though, which is be one of the germ bringers.
Yes.
Rather than one of the germ receivers.
Exactly.
So you were better by the time we left.
Yeah.
I caught your germs.
It was the smart choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was a big show.
Yeah.
They've got just an enormous hall full of all the music things, from orchestral instruments and sheet music to components for mixing desks to audio software, of course.
It's a wonder that anyone found us at all. Like, it's so huge.
Yeah.
It is very big, and like you say, the companies that exhibit are very, very like spread out in terms of what they do. There are exhibitors that only do shipping for art, like for stage artists, and that's their whole thing.
Yeah.
And they're there and exhibiting whatever it is. And there are people who make, like you said, components for your mixing table, and 100 different
standing
LEDs.
in our booth, I could see 3 different cable manufacturers,
Yeah.
just for
Yeah.
guitar cables.
Yeah.
It's really cool, isn't it?
Yeah, and then when you actually go to like the area where they have guitar companies that produce their own guitars, it's you're overwhelmed by the number of people who can do the same
Yeah.
thing.
So one company, they made these little screws for tuning
Yeah.
the guitar that's like on the top of the neck.
Mm.
That's what they did.
Yeah,
So they were like exhibiting their tuning
different
screws.
notes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It really gives me a sense of the scale of not just the music tech and music instruments industry, but the world. Because like people from all different countries are there bringing their thing, whatever it is, whether it's software from Sweden or guitars from China or percussion from Brazil. And you just think, wow, there's a lot of folks out there doing a lot of cool things. And they're all in the room. And it's just like 0.001% of all the cool things that people are doing in the world, because that's just music. It's a very small industry, relatively speaking, and yet it's enormous. And NAMM always gives me a bit of a sense of wonderment,
Right.
while also giving me sore feet.
Yes.
NAMM also has a wonderful tendency of bringing, since there are so many guitar manufacturers, they always bring their sort of funniest looking stuff, and you can always find crazy guitars. And last time I was there, I tried the bass ukulele. That was really a nice thing. And then there was this monstrosity, which was like an electric guitar and an acoustic guitar and a lute all in one.
Why choose when you can have?
I don't remember. At NAMM, do they have like the big halls with like single? For example, in Musikmesse in Frankfurt, we were there
A long
many
time
years
ago.
back, and they had this like piano hall with just pianos, and they were also set up to be playable. So there was like a bazillion pianos playing at once, and walking through there was just pandemonium. It was totally
That noise
crazy.
was amazing.
Yeah,
every
it's
note
like-
on the piano simultaneously from every direction.
Yeah, it was-
And then there was a like drum hall, which was obviously drums.
Well, it was,
bizarre.
I also remember that piano hall. It was very like crazy. It was like a horror movie. I felt like I was in a Hitchcock movie.
Yeah.
It was like piano
dizzying.
cluster.
You would
Yeah.
like get physically dizzy from the sound.
Yeah.
I think if you scroll way back on our Instagram, I think there might be a video clip from walking through the piano hall.
That sounds really exciting. I wonder if you play enough pianos all at once, if All Star by Smash Mouth does come out. I think it probably does. Let's just dive into the chat quickly, because we've got a couple of questions. Pony Punch says, I'm curious, how many employees do you have? Is this the entire crew I'm witnessing? Is that a question we want to answer?
Yeah, of course. We are 9 people total at Kilohearts, and we are seven of us are here in Linköping in Sweden, and then Linus, our main customer support guy, and sound designer, is working remotely from his home in Stockholm, and our head of marketing, Stuart or Stu, works remotely from Hungary, where he lives.
Studio.
Studio. Yeah.
Julio Iglesias.
Yeah.
Is his full name. And another question, no, it's not a question, it's a comment from 5 Steps. Berlin also has germs.
Yeah, it's
A
in
lot,
Germany
actually.
after all. So.
You could say Germany. Yeah, very good. Great minds.
Get it
Think
here.
alike.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So that leads us nicely on to Super Booth, which was in Germany.
Yeah.
It's a smaller show. It's a more niche show. It's specifically to do with synths and almost entirely hardware and modular synths. Is that
Traditionally,
right?
it was only modular.
Yeah.
Synths.
It's very different from NAMM in many ways, but yeah, I think originally it was like was it at NAMM or Frankfurt Musikmesse, somewhere they had this. It was kind of expensive to have your own booth, so a bunch of people had a booth together.
A super booth.
A super
Right.
booth. So it was like one booth for a bunch of. Then that grew
cool.
bigger and bigger and bigger, and after some time it became a show of its own.
I think it was specifically people from Germany, and then only hardware modular makers.
Yeah.
Many of the hardware modular companies are like tiny. They're like one-man operations, so they would have to travel from Germany, and that was, you know, expensive on its own. But then bringing a booth was a hazard. So exactly like you said, they sort of made a group trip out of it, and then that grew out of the. Again, I also cannot remember if it was at NAM or if it was at Musikmesse, but either way, they moved it back to Germany where they were all from.
So now it's in a place called Fez, out in Berlin, which is like kind of a park thing, where it's a lot smaller, but more focused on modular stuff and electronic music, but a bunch of software as well. It has a very, very different like vibe than NAM, I would say.
Yeah,
it feels
absolutely.
more like a festival or something. There's a lot of outdoor tents with stuff nowadays, especially with COVID and all that. A lot of it moved out into tents. So it's just when the weather is great, it's like hanging out at the festival. You walk around, talk to people.
I love the vibe.
Yeah.
That's super boosted.
Very
And
relaxed.
everyone is into synthesizers.
Yeah.
At NAM, when someone's come up to your booth and you're going to show a faceplant, you have to first dial in, like, do you know what the synthesizer is? Do you know what software is? Like, maybe someone like...
Quite a lot of people going to
flutes
NAM
and-
are musical theatre producers who were born in 1930. And you go, oh, I see, okay, what's the way in there then?
Yeah.
And
I
it's
think
fascinating in its own way, but yeah.
at Superbooth there's also an element of, like, as a software developer, it's a little bit different since there are so many that are there that are purely hardware oriented. So we still kind of have to gauge whether they have an interest in software or they are familiar with working with software and so on. And some are like, I only use keys and knobs. Screw this.
Yeah. Which is valid.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
I think one of the best things about shows is an opportunity to refine our idea of what we do and what our message is, because if you just talk to people who already understand the product all the time and talk about how good it is and what features they'd like to add, you don't get the perspective of people who could become enthusiasts, you know, if only we would speak to them in the right way or offer them the right way in. And so chatting to, I remember at NAMM this year speaking to the drummer for the Philadelphia 76ers. He's a floor drummer at basketball stadium, right? And he doesn't necessarily use a synthesizer every day, but it's a different angle. And I thought, oh, cool, what could Kilohearts do for this person? And you get to talking about the modularity of effects and how quickly you can set up a chain for your live rig if you're processing percussion sounds, or if you're playing with samples, or if you're, there's all sorts of things. But I don't think about that on a daily basis when I'm making stupid noises for sound design snacks, because that's a different way of coming at it.
Yep.
So let me just check the comments one more time then. We've got a few more questions. Do keep them coming in, by the way, folks. It's nice to hear from you. What's the best music software company, asks Dash Glitch. That one's easy. It's not easy to answer a question like that because we're Swedes, so we're very humble, right? I'm
Well,
not Swedish, I'm British.
To a level.
I can say anything I like.
Yeah, right.
And the correct answer is...
Softube.
So, one of the great things about shows is seeing all the other stuff that's out there. I love to just go and check out what other folks are doing and the way they're presenting themselves.
Absolutely, and also making friends with other companies. I mean, I wouldn't say that it's not a cutthroat business. Audio software, not in my experience at least. Everyone is really friendly, and we try to work with everyone and have a good time and do stuff together with other companies. We are currently running a big sale over at ImageLine, and we are like partnering with Expressive E, the guys who make that new Osmos, the really cool MPE keyboard, and we have, we partner with many other companies, and we have a generally friendly and approachable vibe, I hope, and we are happy to talk to anyone within the realm of our sort of products.
I mean, even within the ones you mentioned are somewhat different in what they do, but there are also a bunch that are like more overlapping with our products. But I still feel like everyone's just hanging out, and it's there's so much room for it anyway, because as users can run both in many cases. They use different things for different use cases.
They're
And
not
so
like,
on.
I already have a plugin.
No, exactly. Why would I have two plugins? So in some cases, it is like that. Like, I have this one, why would I use that one, which is basically
Similar.
the same thing. But in some cases, they're just different enough to warrant having both of them.
Right, and even where there are clear likenesses between our products and other companies' products, there's a lot of people out there who just they want all the options. So people collecting synths and whatnot. So there's plenty of customers to go around. We don't need to be fighting with our friendly competition.
Exactly. A couple of refinements on that question, actually. One from Dash, a follow-up. I guess a better question is, were there any other companies with inspiring ideas that you enjoyed? And Pony Punch says, did you see anything that blew your mind?
Right.
This year or in previous years, I guess?
Yeah, well, the thing I just spoke about, the Osmos, really blew my mind a couple of years back when I saw it for the first time at Superbooth. And then I'm really happy that they helped us to get one. So we have one here at the office now. Yeah. I feel like it's a quantum leap in piano. I think it's sort of like it's a very big step for a keyboard, going from a regular MIDI keyboard to that one, and seeing the really skilled keyboardists play it is really, really inspiring and awesome. And that really blew my mind lately.
Awesome.
And you, Anders, you went to a clap seminar
Yeah.
at Superbooth.
Yeah, I got the clap.
Clap support well.
We had an interactive workshop on clap. Got some information about that. We've looked into that before. We've talked about
It's a new
for those who don't-
plugin
for
format,
those who don't
like a
know,
file
it's
format, sort of.
like VST or AU or AX or VST3 or whatever. There's a format called clap that's pushed primarily by Bitwig and to some extent UHE, and I think those are two big proponents of it. And it's great in a bunch of ways. We might support it at some point. We would like to. We'll see when, how, and so on.
There's a lot of things on the to-do list.
Yeah. It's that kind of software development that always takes a lot of time when you're interfacing with the outside world.
Yeah.
I wonder whether events like NAMM and Superbooth and other trade shows are a big part of how ideas like that propagate and get taken up by the industry, because it is incredibly difficult just sending out an email to everyone else in the industry saying, hey, will you help me with this thing, or will you join in with this thing? But if you can get them in a room and do a seminar, I guess that does make it feel different.
Explain what's the point of this,
Mm-hmm.
rather than reading a technical manual and trying to decipher it yourself.
Yeah,
And as a developer, Anders, did it change your point of view on it in any meaningful way?
Not really, because
okay.
I kind
Forget
of, the thing is, I kind of knew what it was about before I went there, so, but I definitely got more information, and there were a bunch of things that I didn't know about it that were cool. So I do like the idea of it more, but it still has the adoption problem. We can support it. Currently, there's one DAW that supports it. It's Bitwig. Reaper has some extension for it, I think, and there are a few
Other
coming.
like
I'm not sure if I can say which ones, but anyway, there are a few more that will add it, I think. And it would be cool to be like an early adopter because I like it and I would like to help push it. But still, that kind of collides with what's useful to spend our time on.
Yeah, right. And even
So-
if it has some cool features, it's not a given that we can utilize them very well because we still need to be compatible with
Yeah.
all the older formats.
Yeah.
So spending a lot of time on a new cool feature that is only available in a certain plugin format is a little bit weird because
Yeah.
we've been working so hard with all the other formats to make them all conform into the feature set that we have. So it doesn't matter if you're using AU or VST3 or
Yeah.
something else.
So it kinda
It should
easy to-
always work the same way. And
Yeah.
this would like, it could work the same way, but then there's no real point in doing it in Clap. And if we do use the new cool features of Clap, then 95% of our users will never experience it, or they'll be pissed off because they can't use it, and we spent a lot of time. So it's a difficult thing. But if it picks up speed and becomes wildly successful, of course we're gonna follow suit. And
I kind of like the idea of a plugin format that no one company has,
yeah, that's a
also
really
a
good
good
one.
one.
has the ownership of.
We'll
Yeah,
see.
I
won't
think
we?
just in general, it's great in most ways.
Yeah.
So that's not like the problem with it.
No.
Yeah.
It's just that we also have things that currently work.
Yeah.
Sure. But another 3 or 4 of these seminars, and it'll be
Maybe,
taken up
maybe,
by
yeah.
everybody,
Yep,
maybe.
When we have some spare time.
Yeah, exactly.
When we're dead.
Yeah. A couple of great points from Magnus. Just noticed the Meshuggah t-shirt.
No, yeah.
You were at a Meshuggah show recently, weren't you,
Yeah,
Per?
yeah, it was. They played here in Linköping a couple of weeks back, so I have the least, street cred shirt.
Yeah.
It's like almost box fresh. Your rock and roll t-shirts should be 25 years old, I think, and this one, I'm working on it.
I also have a band T-shirt, and we'll see if anyone in chat can decipher what it is.
Good
It's a
game.
challenge.
It's a challenge.
Excellent.
I think it actually says down here, but it's like folded up, so you'll have to guess.
I got a Black Album.
Oh, nice.
Great.
Magnus also asks, do we get to mingle with the game or film audio folk during the trade shows?
Yeah, you can absolutely do that. You'll have to find someone to talk to get invited to some of the after hours activities, I guess. We're thinking about going to another trade show which is also in Los Angeles, actually. It's called Synthplex. It's supposedly, we have never been, but supposedly it has a lot of the visitors are like movie industry professionals, score composers and sound designers. So that would be really nice to go there. Actually.
I talked to at least one of them on them.
right.
Was a film composer for
All right, cool.
some really large movies.
Yeah, we know for a fact that our software is being used at a few companies that are on the very, very short list of the biggest movie companies in the world.
And you're going to a game audio specific
That's correct.
thing.
Yeah,
right?
I'm leaving tomorrow for the UK for the Game Audio Symposium at Leeds Beckett University, and that'll be great. It's the first time they're running it, but it's a show, a symposium with speakers talking to film and game audio students about the industry and about techniques and about all the ins and outs of making noises in games. And so I'm going to go and learn more than any of them because I've not been a student yet. But it's going to be great, and talk to lots of folks and find out a bit more about how software is used and integrated into the workflows of these industries. And I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be a ton of fun.
Nice.
So let's check again if there are any interesting questions or comments coming in. We've got one from, I'm afraid, a Cyrillic alphabet name which I don't read. Can anyone
no,
pronounce this
sorry.
name?
No.
Hello guys, says this fine person. Are you planning to release a wave shaper with the ability to build your own curve?
Yeah.
Short answer, yes.
Good, excellent. And
And maybe with a twist.
It's more than a wave.
Yeah.
Wave twister.
Dash says, I feel like your hosts already have a lot of the benefits of clap, like voices, modulation,
Yeah.
etc. Is that a factor for us? Do we feel like it doesn't offer much compared to what we already do?
Well, in a way, possibly we could integrate it into the DAW in different ways. Like there's a bunch of polyphonic modulation and stuff that we kind of do internally that we could possibly interface better with the DAW in various ways.
And I always feel there's like a difference between modulation and automation.
Yeah.
When it comes to composing, like automation can be a bit more deliberate and like follow the song structure.
But there are a bunch of other features of clap that are not a very big part of our internal, like the hosts that we do, like thread pooling and weird like performance things and stuff like that.
Yeah, there are a few things that we probably could leverage, but again, it's like it would be available only when running clap. So.
Yeah. And it's a lot of work to add it now. Like if we had known about those features
10 years
starting
ago.
out, then we could have like planned for them. And now it's quite a lot of work to change the code around to be able to do those things.
Right. Yeah.
Disperser in the Mario movie says 5 steps.
Oh, yeah.
We mentioned this on a stream the other day, didn't we? But let's say it again because we're proud to know.
Yeah, I've since actually seen the movie. And
Have you really?
Yeah,
Great.
right. Yes.
Yeah.
So,
Was it obviously Disperser?
yeah. I could tell right away.
There was a lovely article with the sound designers in an interview saying they needed that sproingy boingy joingy noise, and Disperser was the only thing that could do it.
It's when Mario falls on the big mushrooms in the mushroom king. Boom, boom.
Yeah. How does that make you folks feel when you've made a thing and suddenly it's in the biggest movie of the year?
Yeah, it's cute.
It's fun. I mean, it's happened with more movies, but it's always hard to know what you can say and not, because they're not always that like public with being users of our stuff. So there are a bunch of like really big TV series and movies and stuff that are using
James Cameron. Is
so,
he? You tell me if it was. I can keep a secret.
Right.
Exactly.
Good.
So, no, but there are a bunch of movies that are, and TV series that are big that use it, and that's of course really fun to know that it's like used.
Yeah, absolutely, and video game companies as well. Some of the very biggest ones in the world, but they don't. They're very secretive about their development, and they don't really want to give us like a testimonial or anything. They don't want us to like strut around with their logo on our shirts, you know. So we can't always say that.
And there's always, I'm sure, lots of good reasons why, but I think it works in our favour because we can just say honest, some of the biggest, and then you can all fill in the blanks.
Yeah, perfect.
And
Like,
say,
like Mario movie.
But then again, honestly, I feel like that's fun and cool in one way, but in a way, like seeing doing something really silly on Twitter or amazing or using the stuff in weird ways, that's kind of more fun.
I agree. Like seeing someone use our products in a way that blows me away. That's like the
That's
best.
very nice.
Yeah, that's better than being in a blockbuster.
I'm also very happy with that quality of our plugins, that emergent quality that we made, where you can combine lots of simple things into extremely complicated things and get like qualities of the output that you could have never imagined from the building blocks. I love that in like in board games and in general in like big rules systems and whatever, the emergence of qualities that could not have been foreseen. It's really interesting to me, and I love that we have been able to make such a system that really works.
yeah. Just yesterday, I released this new sound design snack, granular layers, and somebody in the comments said, "Oh, so Faceplant's a bit like Minecraft. You can just do anything in there." It's like, yeah, exactly. And it's so fun to think, because that's one of the things I love most about it is I can think of something I'd like to do first and then go and do it, rather than open the software and go, right, what will this allow me to do?
We're going to add an adventure mode. So.
Yes.
And multiplayer online.
You know how we always have a little game in our hosts? And for a while I was like, I wonder if it's hard to make an MMO. Like if you'd boil it down, wouldn't that be great?
It would be fun with like a text-based mod. Or
yeah.
My vote last time around when we were gonna do one, I was one of these beat games. I was envisioning you would play with the arrow keys, that scrolling thing where arrows come and you're supposed to hit them on beat. Exactly. And then it would sync to the tempo you had for your project and generate levels.
Awesome, fun stuff. Race Rahim, I'm sorry for mispronouncing everyone's name. Race Rahim says, "I'm always stoked for new Kilohearts releases. Will we see anything new soon?"
Probably not. It's we're coming up on summer here in Sweden, and Swedes love their long vacations, so we're probably going to be out.
I was going to say though,
swimming.
if I get my act together, they might see something, a little something, even as soon as tomorrow.
Ooh. Right.
So keep your eyes open on the
I
Kilohearts
guess.
YouTube channel and social media.
Yeah.
Just a little something maybe, or two somethings.
Yeah,
I don't know. We'll see. Heavy D&B says, "Clearly super booth,"
Well,
referring to my inflammatory thumbnail. "Thanks for coming by. Per has a really lovely T-shirt."
Yeah, thank you.
I think he's certainly referring to this.
All right. Okay. Yeah.
Maybe.
Black is back.
Reese again says, "Granulizer is great, but for some reason I see it as an update. I'm just wondering if there's a new snap-in." It is an update. That's kind of the thing. It's a lot of the new stuff we do is free updates, right? And that's part of the ethos.
Yep. Lifetime free updates.
And we hope that doesn't make them feel less exciting or special. But there will be new snap-ins at some point,
right? And
I guess.
And part of that question, I think, is will there be a granular effect, like a granular delay or something, grain delay thing, which is actually a common question that we've gotten since we released the granular generator. And the answer is that right now we're not working on such a thing, but since a lot of you seem to want it, it's climbing on our list of stuff that we could potentially do.
Also potentially be something where we could leverage the code we already have for the granular generator in some way.
Yep.
Yeah. So sometime next week. So comparing Faceplant,
provided by yours.
Yeah, we'll see how well that goes down if I try and code it by next week. 5 Step says, "Comparing Faceplant to Minecraft is actually a great analogy. I'm going to use that from now on."
Yeah.
And Dash Glitch says, "Signcraft."
Wow.
So it's all going down in the comments, folks. "Well-deserved vacation," says Sanjo.
Thank you.
Everyone's happy. Everyone's having a good time out here.
Awesome.
That's why I love Kilohearts. And why ImageLine and Kilohearts is a good match, says Heavy D&B.
Yes. Heavy.
Yeah.
Heavy, we always meet at, for those who don't know, we always meet at Super Booth. We had the booths next to each other like 5 or 6 years ago or something like that.
Probably.
He was there for ImageLine and we had the booth just opposite. So we met then, and now, like every year, we meet up and say hello.
It's very nice.
So we're going to keep going for another 15-20 minutes or so, so get your comments coming in. But I actually just had a thought of a little question about trade shows to reopen the debate. I want to open some wounds here. If each of you could add something to trade shows to make them even better, what would you add? What would you like to see and do at trade shows that you don't currently?
Sleep.
Would it be, more late night parties? Would it be more performances?
The
Would
late
it
night
be...
parties seem like they're already happening. We're just too tired to attend.
Yeah, sure.
Because there's some jet lag, and then standing up and talking all day, you just want to have some peace and quiet. So I kind of want to start a new trade show where there's no booths, no show floor, where it's just chilling out and parties.
That's not a trade show.
Maybe a convention.
I'm gonna have my own trade show. Blackjack.
It sounds good.
Yeah,
I don't know what you would
we
call
get
it.
together with some companies, we fund it, and the users can come and we all have fun and talk about music, and
Yeah.
maybe there can be some talks about sound design or something, somewhere where we can sit down for a bit and listen.
For me, I miss. I think that it. So sometimes at a show you will walk up to something and find something really cool and really interactive that isn't necessarily a product that anyone is trying to sell you. So at Super Booth one year there was a box you could lay down in, and some synth guy would stand outside and they would close the lid like a casket, and it was full of speakers, and they would play the weirdest drones for you.
That's great. Dröner box.
Yeah, that was an awesome thing, and sometimes things like that will happen. Someone will bring a bouncy castle or whatever, a weird thing that just happens at the show and nowhere else, and it's not a product, it's just an experience, and I would like to see much more of that. And thinking about it, we should come up with something. I want to be surprised and not necessarily be a customer all the time, but someone who experienced a cool thing that someone brought.
Yeah, I think something that not adds something, but a kind of common problem with trade shows is that having a trade show where you show off sound obviously means that you have 1,000 companies playing sound in a crowded space.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to even break through or even demonstrate stuff for people right next to you, because there's a speaker company playing there and there's something else playing there. Especially if you try to show a drone sound or something more softer, that you can't hear it at all, basically. So you can only show these in your face synthesis sounds and stuff like that. And it's hard to solve because you don't want to have everyone in their own soundproofed room. That's weird as well.
You can try to be louder than the booth.
Yeah, but
When we were at
loudness war.
At NAMM, the booth next to us, they made PA speakers specially made for karaoke. So we had these karaoke sessions throughout the day. Basically, had a small local bands come in and play the whole days.
Nice.
It's interesting.
At least 50% of them were excellent. I
Well,
thought.
very
So it was nice to have a entertainment nearby, but it did make the shoutiness increase for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think if I could choose, I would have roving catering. I would have people coming up and down the aisles with food and drinks, like at a baseball game.
Yeah.
Yes.
Doing hot dogs, popcorn, cotton candy, all along the aisles.
Yeah.
And
We
chucking beers at us and
We
stuff.
try to help because we always bring drinks that we hand out to people, and we made our own faceplant drinks.
Yeah.
We have here.
Sure.
Show them off.
Okay.
Insert mixing joke
Yeah.
here.
These are unopened. This is one of the original ones.
Yeah, that's the
This is
very
in focus. This is
the-
the Faturator.
Faturator energy drink.
the
with
very
Panel
last
Drive.
the very last one in existence, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Klaus drank them all. He was
And,
like, we were worried about his
He
health
hasn't
for a
slept
while,
since.
And we got the original European faceplant drink,
Yep.
which is absolutely delicious.
Yes, this one is good,
It's
and
like
also
a-
recyclable.
Yeah.
You should take heed, America.
And then there's the American, larger one, of course.
Yeah.
Smells
Um,
like cotton candy, and you get diabetes if you drink it.
Yeah.
It has tonic sugars,
41 grams of sugar.
42 grams.
42 grams of
Yeah.
sugar in that one can. It's like that is it's actually pretty vile, that one.
84% of your daily recommended.
Yeah. This one is 10 grams for 100 milliliters.
Yeah, that's very reasonable.
Oh, Five Steps still has a can of Factorator
Oh,
too.
nice.
That's great.
Good for you. Hold on to it. It'll be worth something someday.
Yeah, sell it on Craigslist.
Yeah.
Crazy person.
Heavy says loudness levels. Free ear protection, please. Musikmesse had a big issue with that. Constantly had people running around with dB meters.
Yeah.
I think that is, it's a trouble because
Or like headphone for everyone or something.
Yeah.
Just stop using speakers.
Yeah.
it's naturally a bit of a problem because even if with the best of intentions, everyone's just trying a little extra, and and when you press a certain preset, it's a bit louder than the one before, and you don't maybe turn it down because that's good news, and it can get a bit cacophonic in those rooms. I find,
which is also sort of the vibe.
Oh,
Yeah,
sure.
especially a super booth because they always have these modular synthesizers, and they're like a car-sized thing, and it like sounds like a helicopter. Some guy is like standing there. Look at it.
Yeah.
Look at it go.
Last year when we arrived, there was a fella performing in the foyer in a sort of a little podium of his own construction, and we arrived at 5 p.m. Started setting up our booth
on the day
balcony,
before the trade show.
The day before the show started, and at about 5:30, once we'd opened our crates, I looked over the rail and he'd gone off, and he put a little "coming back later" sign over the top. And he was still not back 3 hours later, but the music was still going.
Yeah, it was like some 2-bar techno loop.
Yeah. It was fantastic. I really enjoyed it. Good focus music.
After like 2 hours, someone went inside the barrier and turned it out, turned it down a little bit.
Dangerous. Don't want to mess with the art, do we?
Right.
A question: will there be a sale for Phase Plant soon? Asks Simpler Sounds.
There is a sale.
There is a sale right
at
now.
imageline.com.
4 more days, I think.
That's fine. Yeah.
Or something.
There's always something out there if you look carefully enough, and it's worth it.
Yeah.
Evan Saturn says, "You are the best, guys. Kilohearts is the best."
Thank you. Great. Can I just add to that last question?
Oh, sure.
I saw speculation about the sale that is ongoing with Imageline. Someone was mentioning that there are 2 offers, and one of them is it's 75% off, and someone was thinking, well, I don't know, maybe I'll wait for a better sale. And I can tell you right away, we're never gonna have a better price than that. So if you're looking to get a deal on that bundle that Imageline offers, you should go for it, because we're never matching that price again, I think.
Is it also a good thing, and stop me if you don't want to talk about this, but a moment to mention something we discussed a few days ago, where certain pirate websites occasionally are not just pirating for the good of mankind and giving things away for free, but there are some places out there where you can buy software like ours for $5, $10, and that's always not for real.
Occasionally, we find websites that look like genuine web shops that sells not only our software but many others as well, many audio and just generally software on the whole. And prices are inexplicably good, with no real explanation. So 70% off, and it doesn't look like it's a particularly big store, or there's no marketing around it. And when that happens, you should be really, really cautious, because they are most likely selling pirated software. So they're cracking it, and then they're charging for the cracked versions, which
I don't think they even cracked it. They just nicked someone else's crack.
Of course. It's really predatory on everyone, and really bad practice, of course. And you're not gonna get, probably, even if you get a working piece of software, you're probably getting malware as well, and being a part of some botnet, and then on top of all that, you can't get customer support from us if anything happens because you don't have an account or stuff like that.
Yeah. Moral of the story being, if it seems too good to be true, it probably is, and all that stuff. Yeah. Cool. Couple more comments and questions from 5 Steps, getting upset because YouTube's taking everything but the emojis out of the comments.
Oh no.
I love when I type in a message and it only sends the emoji. Thanks, YouTube. Yeah.
I had some problems with that as well when I was trying to comment on live feeds the other day. It inexplicably just left stuff out. I don't know if there's some kind of censorship, like automated censorship. Or,
yeah, I think it depends what you were saying.
Yeah, I guess.
Threatening to play music to someone.
Yeah.
Or, yeah. It's looking good in there. Yeah, thanks so much for all your comments, everybody. You got about 2 or 3 minutes to get a last question or two in, and then I think we're going to sign off. But we'll be back soon because we have been chatting about it. We decided we want to do this a bit more often.
Yeah.
So we'll come up with another inflammatory title and come back again soon and talk to you.
George will do his best thumbnail face.
Yeah.
I'll try absolutely my hardest.
I can also mention that there was a trade show in Sweden last year in November called U+. Or actually, I think it was called U+ Music. We didn't attend because we weren't aware of it until it had happened. And I've been trying to get in contact with the organizers to see if it's going to happen again. And if it does, I want to join in. I think it's in Stockholm in Fryshuset, for anyone who knows anything about Stockholm. Yeah.
Excellent.
So we might, if it happens, I'll try to be there and we can meet up.
I've been thinking a lot over the last few years about the value of trade shows and live events to a company like ours, and just from a sort of interest point of view, really. But through the pandemic, obviously, a lot of companies had an opportunity to break their habit and think about what's in it for them and whether it's really worth it. And you do see that at NAMM there are big brands that aren't really there anymore, and some that are, and some that weren't before and are now. And something I'm realizing is just, regardless of the commercial value of it, it's really good fun. It's social. It's great for ideas and inspiration, and it's just getting out and about and seeing people, seeing different places, getting a flavour of different things, like those Japanese pancakes from the Volkswagen bus at the super booth and stuff. So it's really good fun, and we want to go to more, is sort of what we've come to, isn't it? Because they're nice.
Absolutely.
So yeah, just one more quick question then, from Simpler Sounds. If I split signals in your multi-band, will this is a technical question.
Right, okay.
Multipass, will the frequency response and phase be transparent for mixing purposes?
No.
No. I've tried to do this in Metaplugin, and multiband in Ableton messes with phase too much. Tell us about phase in Multipass, Per.
We use something called a Linkwitz-Riley filter for splitting.
A link?
Linkwitz-Riley, second order.
Excellent.
And that introduces phase shift, especially around the crossover frequency. So the alternative would be to use linear phase filter. That does not introduce phase shifts, but it does introduce a delay.
Right, yeah.
Which you then can compensate for by like latency compensation. But you still, like, if you want to play live, then there'll be a delay, which would be annoying.
Yeah.
And it also generates artifacts when manipulating stuff, but slightly different artifacts than phase shifting.
Yeah.
Pre-ringing and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if you just do the band splitting and then mix it back together, you'll get a delayed signal. But if you like start processing the high band, then you'll get like stuff happening, and then that's just
the what I would be asking if I were a customer would be, why can't you do both and give us the option to switch between them? What's the
I think
problem
like
with
in
that?
our very first I think I brought up. I sent a screenshot somewhere on our internal chats from like one of the first versions of Multipass, and that one had like a in the
Select
mock-up it had a filter selector thing with like if it was linear phase or whatever. So it's definitely something that like was in there from the start, but didn't make it for release, and then we kind of found that well, it would be cool, but it wasn't as important as we originally felt. But
I guess it depends on what you're doing. If you want a very
Yeah.
subtle kind of thing, maybe that would be more important. Yeah, it would be a good idea. But then you also get into the discussion like, well, then you probably want to be able to change the crossover slopes and like there's so many more things than just that.
Of course,
option.
and
That
that
you
mode
could-
probably wouldn't be modulatable, like changing the crossover.
That's true.
Modulating
Can't
the
move as
crossover
fast with
would
the-
probably be a problem.
Yeah.
Knowing when to stop is like I think a defining factor of Kilohearts. You
Yeah.
guys are really good at choosing what to leave out or to leave to later, and there are a couple of votes here from Five Steps and from Heavy for the option of doing that, but I hope they see as well that there's an argument to be made that you then say, well, what next and what next and what next,
And you also have other problems, like
Yeah, it would be a valuable update,
Yeah.
but we also have other valuable
Of
things
course.
to do. So it's always the
yeah, so maybe
question of prioritization.
yeah.
again
Excellent.
next week.
Definite maybe.
Definitely maybe. And on that note, I'm flying off to Manchester tomorrow. Definitely maybe from Oasis.
Yeah.
And we'll be seeing you all very soon.
Yeah.
Is the bottom line. It's
Yeah.
been nice being with you, and nice to hear your questions. Keep them coming in future live streams.
Yep.
And any last words from the rest of you?
Have a great rest of the day and rest of the week, and we'll see you at a show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Thanks very much, folks. See you then.
Bye.